You got one life, for crying out loud.
Deej, Dan, Jourdan.
Your daily dose we sell, baby. Worry about why people buy. And it's fun.
You don't need a 5-hour energy. All you need is the Sales Energizer.
Just when I think it's not going to be as fun as the one before, each one gets successfully better. What's the word I'm looking for? What's it going to take to get you into this car today, huh?
And now, please welcome the Sales Energizer, Dan Jourdan.
Boom!
That's exactly it. Do that. Let's do that.
Woo! Oh,
To do this, I want to try to match your arm. So like, something, see these like straight, you're like this. So I gotta, I never know which way to do it, but I want it one time for it to be like,
I got to lean back because you don't want, you want to be in, and like, this is just, it's not really bringing the energy, right? So I got to lean back.
Isn't that funny? Isn't that funny? Like, this is not this. It's just it's a small thing that's going on.
Yeah, it's kind of like,
That's right. Yeah, I mean, it's that easy. Listen, if you're gonna do this, if you're in sales and you're gonna, be in front of somebody, it takes like this much extra effort, to be this instead of this, And so, I mean, that's the thing. People aren't willing to do the little things that it takes to make sales easy. And so that's a perfect example. I had an event, had a couple events, big news going on. Things are happening. You're getting live again.
Breaking news. Dan Jourdan live.
A couple of days ago, I had an event for the Project Management Institute, 120 people, killing it. And everybody is like really enthusiastic. That little picture that you had of me in front of Madison Square Garden that you put together, which some people think is actually real. But it's like, have you ever seen Photoshop? I mean, have you? And so they were like that. They were just going ballistic. And next week, I'm going to have to miss the show next week. I'll be in Utah for a week for there's a convention, and there's the resort actually hired me because of you, Chris Stone. I want to thank you, crowd noise or something, do some celebration for you, Chris Stone. But because of you, and they saw this thing, they've hired me to be their spokesman. Hey, welcome to Deer Creek Resort. You're going to have a great time today, but even better if you don't kill yourself on this boat. So let me show you how to use it. So I'm going to be I'm going to be one of those guys, which is kind of funny. We could do it. But that's the type of thing we tell everybody. Listen, stop being a secret agent.
Right.
Go out there and do some live things, get out and do some social media. It lasts forever, and who knows where it leads.
Yeah, you get found, right? And it's getting a podcast or putting like you do, a video on LinkedIn every day, a video on YouTube every day, being intentional. And I bet this video is probably number 1348 or whatever it is. I bet it's better than video number 13.
Yes,
right.
And
got to get better. Got to put in the work.
It's actually. Everything that you do today, you're going to be embarrassed of 10 years from now. And so like, if you look back at your other ones and you're embarrassed, you're like, what? But so you're always getting better. And, that's the whole thing. You always keep learning. One of the philosophies of life, just always keep learning. And so
10 years from now, you may not be walking on this earth. So if I'm sorry to make it dark, but I mean, if you treat it like that, then shows like today become even more important because we've got an amazing guest, Dan.
Oh yeah. Well, I do forget that. I forget that some people, this is their first time in there and they're, nervous about all things. So every once in a while you have to get a true professional.
Oh yeah.
You got to get somebody with the dulcet tones of a radio announcer, the type of person that brings both content and style, the type of guy that when you hear him for one time, it's like hooked on heroin. You have to keep coming back. Please help me welcome my good friend, Mr. Larry Towner.
Hoorah, dude, way up in the air, you know, because there's some folks, I got to tell you, there's a story I have about Dan Jourdan. Dan used to put out the daily sales tip. And back when I was selling full time, he said, you know, you got to go in. He said, lead off with this. I'm the pesky salesman and I'm here to try to sell you this. And I was driving down the road and I walked into the next sales call and I walked up and I said, you know, I'm here. I'm the pesky salesman. I am here to try to sell you this. And the person looks at me, the gatekeeper, the receptionist at the time, she looks at me and she goes, he's right back there. Why don't you come in? And I was like, holy smokes, this thing actually works. Deej's tips actually work.
Yeah, that was my line. I would walk in, I say, with a big smile. You got to go in with a big smile. Yeah, big smile. Hey, I'm one of those pesky sales type of people. Who would be the person I need to speak with in regards to this?
Yep. And it works. Anyway. Well, thank you for all those accolades, by the way, because you're all lying. You're lying like a rug.
No.
But anyway.
Listen, he's coming with 2 microphones.
Yeah. We run 2 microphones because we have technical issues. So be that as it may, one records audio, one records video, or part of the video feed anyway, blah, 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 blah.
That's brilliant. It's brilliant. You know, Dan, we always talk about you got to have a backup. What happens if your power goes down and you need your power to do whatever you need to do? What happens when you're on stage in Utah and you know, your mic goes out? Do you have a backup?
Yeah. Like, you know,
he has loud pipes. He can yell. I've been on the stage with him.
Yeah. The last event I was at, it was a big room and they had a hand mic like this. And, you know, is it gestate? What's the word? Gestate? What's the word?
Yeah.
I use my hands. Yep. Yeah. And, I said, I put it down. I go, can you guys hear me? And they're like, yes. I put this garbage down. I don't need this. But so, yeah, you got to be able to project. But it used to be when you went on events, you know, Larry, stuff has changed dramatically in your world, in the speaking world, but in the world of the trades, things are like 1,000 times easier.
Yes.
Used to be you'd have to bring your own projector. You'd have to bring a few different versions of PowerPoint, you know, because you never know what was going to go in their thing. It was very difficult to add video and all those things changed. Now it's just, you know, plug into this cord and see you later, potato. And in the trades world, which you're in, there's a lot of kind of, you know, handyman that you could kind of watch a YouTube video and try to figure it out and do it yourself. Do you ever run into that how do you sell against that when someone says, I'll do it myself, I'll just watch it on YouTube?
Well, we promote DIY stuff, right? So we don't mind if people want to go out and do DIY. It's just a lot of times it gets to be that cost versus value type statement. Do you want to spend your time hanging a ceiling fan or whatever it is, or do you want to spend your time out selling sales courses like the Deej does? And then they call me because it's actually cheaper for them to call me and keep their work time than it is the other way. But we don't mind the DIY things. We just want you to be very careful and understand exactly what you're doing and understand that some things can actually hurt you, aka electricity, and plumbing can be very expensive if you're not careful and things like that. So we don't really mind because we have lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of work. I mean, beyond we're so full. We're 6 to 8 weeks out right now. Just day to day.
And that's what's happening in the trades. I pick something up. I actually keep this with me. This is Kristen. I don't know that I even told you this.
Probably not.
When I was a stockbroker. So this is like 1995. And I was looking on, you know, who would be the people to market to? Like who are the people who have money that are willing to invest? So I said, what's a typical millionaire look like today? And this is 1995. And this article kind of changed the trajectory of my life, and you'll see why. So here, typical millionaires. This is from Associated Press. This is 1995. I don't know the date. I didn't put it there. I should have. Portrait of a typical millionaire. A 57-year-old man, married with 3 children. Self-employed. Involved in a dull, normal business such as welding contractor, pest control operator, paving contractor. Average annual income, $247,000. This is 1995. Average annual net worth, $3.7 million. Homeowner with a $300,000 house. Basically lives below his means. Works 45 to 55 hours a week, and invest 20% of their monies in retirement accounts. Basically, a trade job, a service business. But instead of running the trade job like a job, running it like a business.
Yep.
Yes, which is exactly what you tell people to do
all day long. And it's interesting, Deej, that article from 1995, those numbers haven't changed very much, except the scope has expanded, meaning the houses are now more like $1 million houses or $1.5 million houses, and the income has come up along with that. There's a huge market. There is nobody in behind these guys. So I'm 58. We're about the last age where the trades were considered, I don't want to say noble, but they were kind of like, there's a career in the trades today. And you probably know this, if you're under about 50, there's nobody from 50 to 30 that's taking up the mantle. There's no, like, wow. If you're a young person today and you want a great career, if you want to achieve financial independence, I put this out on the groups all the time. If you want to achieve financial independence and you're 20 years old, go into the trades, get with a guy who's getting ready to retire, because there's thousands and thousands and thousands of guys who are 58 to 65 or older, ready to sell their businesses, and nobody wants to take it over, right? Their son or their daughter or whomever, they don't want to take it over. And nobody works their, Deej, you worked all your life to build your business. What are you going to do with it? Well, in the trades business, it's the same thing. If you have no place to give it, it kind of leaves you feeling empty. Can you open up on that a little bit? Do you get that?
Yeah. Well, it's the being self-employed, it very lets you think, oh, I have something to sell. That's my retirement. When I'm ready to retire, I'm going to do that. But most people will build their business like the people you're talking about to a point, but really they are the business. They've never really turned the corner and got it. So it's really not saleable for any value, over than, basically 1 time's earnings or something like that, but not what you want for retirement. But all you have to do is simply get somebody like that to work beneath you. That's why they love apprentices. They love to teach, because ultimately you could turn it over to that person and kind of get residual income. For the single operator, it's a great avenue for retirement.
And in the trade, even more than that, Deej, because nobody's coming in to buy those companies with 5 or 10 trucks, right? There's this whole kind of middle ground where these guys are super profitable and they've got a nice little business. They really do, but they've got nothing to do with it. And it's just kind of at a size, it's like that no man's land size, and if you're a young person, get in and just take that business over from them. It's like almost like a no-brainer. You'll be retired by the time, if you do it right and you save your money and you put that 20% away and you invest wisely and you do all the things you need to do, you'll be retired by the time you're 35. I mean, I kid you not. I can show the plan.
It's not, a plumber right now is $115,000 job as an apprentice going in. And as soon as you get licensed, then it gets jumped up and even more. It's just it's a skill that everybody needs. I love the trades. Larry Towner has become like a mentor to my son, Matthew.
I try.
Yeah. And, because he stops listening to me, and he needs other.
We work as a team. We're gonna leave it at that.
And just to let you know, he just closed on a piece of property a couple weeks ago, or maybe even just last week, and close to his house. It's great, and he already has people calling him to rent, little space just to park your trucks and things like that. And so he's turning that into actually a profit center where the rental income will pay for the mortgage. And this happens, all tradespeople that are just looking for a cheap way to park their truck and things like that. There's an entire beautiful, lovely, friendly, camaraderie type of community that you build in the trades with people. Everybody really helps each other.
They do. And they do for reasons, because everybody needs everybody else. And you talk about the rental businesses going towards financial independence. I own a bunch of rental properties. I've got all my guys help me. We all work together, and we just take care of the rental properties. And a lot of the work I do myself. So we build that sweat equity because I know how to do stuff, right? If you know how to do stuff, you can go in and fix it. I mean, I buy wrecks. I literally buy 4 walls and a foundation, and hopefully electric service, and hopefully sewer service. And notice I say hopefully, but I buy those houses because I buy them for pennies on the dollar. Go in and once the work's done, I know what I have done because I've done the work. So I know who's doing the quality work and all that kind of stuff. And I know what materials are in there. I know every little aspect. And when I do those, I do them by design because I'm a deliberate kind of person. So I do all those things, but it's all with an end goal in mind. And in the trades, it's a great way if you're a tradesperson to build wealth and actually have other people help you build wealth while providing a very quality service.
Yeah. And there's deals all over the place. Case in point. So Matthew has a skid steer, and a friend of his, a guy needs to rent a skid steer. It's about $1,000, a week or something like that.
What's a skid steer?
Oh, it's like a bobcat.
Bobcat, basically.
Thank you. Thank you.
And but Matthew needs a roof. Well, this guy happens to be a roofer, so he gets the material. And the guy who's the roofer gets the skid steer for a week, and Matthew gets a new roof.
And everybody's winning.
And everybody's happy. And those deals happen all the time. And that type of understanding on how to make deals like that helps you that'll help your marriage.
It helps everything. Can I touch on a subject too about about getting into the trades as a young person?
Does it involve nudity?
No.
Okay, good. Then keep going.
Well, I mean, we could probably roll that in, but that's a different issue. But one thing is, so I'll ask Chris Stone. Chris Stone, did you go to college?
I sure did. Belmont University.
Did you have student loan, or were you before that trend?
I had a student loan. When I went to college, my dad handed me the Fannie Mae packet and said, here you go. You can tear it off and put a check in every month, and here's how much it costs, and you're paying for it.
Yep. And so you paid, but I don't want to get into your personal business, but you had it cost you money to go to school. Is my point. That
is correct. It also cost me money for my now wife to go to school. So,
okay. So here's the difference in the trades today, in today's world, right? You want to work in the trades as a young person, you're 18, 19, 20, it doesn't matter. Age really doesn't matter. You go down to a decent sized electrical contractor, plumbing contractor, HVAC guy, whatever, it doesn't really matter. Not in the handyman world, but mostly in the trades, the actual licensed trades. They will put you on an apprentice program. They will put you through school. All you have to do is sign a contract that say you'll work for 2 or 3 years, or just depends on the program and on how aggressive they are as far as trying to recruit people. But they'll pay you to go to school. They'll pay you to go get your ticket. We call it the license is the ticket. They'll pay for you to go get your ticket. Then they'll give you a job, and they'll pay you as an apprentice while you're doing it. So you're going to school, you're getting paid. You're getting like an 8-to-1 return on your dollar, and you don't come out with a student loan. You come out with a job and income and good income to boot, right?
Yeah. It used to be you needed to join the army for that. Many people in a previous generation, they joined the army. I had nothing to do. Let's join the army. We'll get paid and get a trade and move on from there.
Yeah. Well, this is super interesting, Larry, because I think, I don't know when the survey was taken. It probably wasn't that long ago, maybe a couple of years ago. And it probably still is true today. I can't, I don't have the Forrester reports in front of me or whoever did the survey, but they asked a number of young people who have yet to maybe graduate high school or whatever, what was the number one thing that they wanted to be when they grew up, or, what they wanted to be, after they graduated. And the number one thing was a YouTuber.
A YouTuber.
A YouTuber. So let me just tell you, because I know enough to be dangerous in that stuff. Being a YouTuber and actually monetizing and actually making money takes years of hard work, takes years of consistency, and it takes years of knowledge and a team in order to do that. And then when you do get monetized, it's this much. And so why is it that you think that young people, like, I almost get the sense, Larry, that you feel like young people aren't attracted to something like this? Like, and I mean, the research kind of says that, but why is it that young people aren't, sort of going to the 50-plus-year-olds who have these businesses and trying to take them over?
because I think there's a lot of reasons. Some of it's cultural. Dan touched on it. It's not glamorous by any stretch of the imagination, and it is hard work. I don't care what trade you're in. You're going to get sweaty and you're going to get dirty, and it is what it is. What they don't tell you about the trades is that the trades are very fulfilling. I'm just going to give you a quick story. Yesterday, I installed I finished a bathroom off for a guy whose mother's coming to stay in it, actually. And he walks in and he's just like, oh my God, like, I can't believe how good this looks and that you actually got this done. Like, I didn't think you were going to get it done. That to me, that's very important, right? I mean, for the customer to be like just thrilled that the job got done and that it's nice. And at the end of the day too, I build a legacy that way. I was kind of chiding with my wife the other day. I built a couple of retaining walls here at our house, and I said, these retaining walls are going to be here for a good 50 to 60 years. I said, I'll be long gone by then, but these retaining walls will still be here. She says, yeah, I don't have a legacy. I said, I have a stone legacy, but that's it,
Yeah.
So those are the rewarding things with it. And the thing, the YouTube, it looks glamorous, right, Chris? It looks glamorous. And they always pull out the few people that really make it. Cause there are some people that have really, really made it, really do really, really well on YouTube. But just like in the show business gig, you work for Sony Music, so you know this. How many musicians are there that actually make it big? It's like football players.
How many NFL players make it to the Hall of Fame? Right.
Yeah, exactly. Very, very few. And so the thing about the trades is, at least initially, technology is not going to replace your plumbing pipes. I don't care what somebody thinks they're going to come up with. Until we come up with the Star Trek teleporter, your plumbing is still going to be there. Your electricity that runs everything in life today and more, and becoming even more, is still going to be a factor until somebody figures out how Tesla was going to work with his little tower and send electrical energy through the ether. Until those technological changes come, these jobs are pretty much secure. I worked in the diesel truck business. Trust me, trucks need to be worked on. You want to be a diesel mechanic? Same deal. They'll teach you how to do it and you'll be good to go. Somebody will pay you to go to school to do that. It just takes a little bit of your time. And if you sign on with the right people, now you're in line to potentially be moving into management in that company and potentially owning that company. So I can't speak highly enough of it because the market is so... to describe it, there's just a lack of people in the trades right now, especially qualified people. So
that's electricians, HVAC, and plumbing, and anything that needs to be
highly specialized.
And if you want to be cutting edge, same thing. I have a company I'm working with, EnviroSpark, and they install the chargers for electric vehicles. For every Telcel, so you get an electric vehicle, so someone's going to come and install it in your house. They need those installers. They have to have electrical experience. They have to know this stuff. They get paid really good money, and again, it's an apprentice program. Also, a truck driver, they'll pay you to go to school, get your license, and then you get a job. It follows, Chris Stone, my dad's 11th commandment, which is this: Daddy, remember, in this country, never pay retail. That's the 11th commandment. And so having them pay you to go to school is the way to go. Every opportunity, whenever you want to do something, his thing was always figure out a way to get paid to learn how to do that. There's time and there's money. And when you don't have the money, you got the time. And when you don't have the time, then you got to spend the money. But a 24, 25, 26-year-old, baby, suck it up and get what's coming your way.
There's a great question from David Burke here on LinkedIn. Interesting conversation. How does a young person find a reputable tradesperson to apprentice for?
Ooh, that's a good question. So there's a bunch of different ways. There is social media. You can go out and look for particular groups. And what you're looking for is companies that are actually actively recruiting. That's one way. There are some posts on LinkedIn, but there's also trade associations. And if you go to a trade, like it's the I can't remember the acronyms, but there are like plumbing associations where it's a industry association, and they will have links into how to get into those programs. Same thing with electrical, same thing with HVAC. There's our good friend Mike Rowe, who also does the Micro Works Foundation. He has tons of resources on how to get between. He sponsors millions of dollars a year in scholarships for trades school, but also there's all kinds of resources for companies that are looking to hire those kinds of people. Do quick searches out there. Go to, even if you're local, like say here in Atlanta, if you go through and find the 5 or 6 biggest electrical companies and biggest plumbing companies and you just call them and ask them, hey, do you literally have a program for apprentices? They'll tell you yes or no, and I'd almost guarantee it's 4 out of 5 right now have those kinds of programs because they can't get any help to expand their businesses.
Yeah, so easy to find them when you look them up. But remember this: most of these owners and most of these companies, they're human beings, and everybody lies. And so the way you figure it out is you hop on the phone and you talk to them, you go visit them, you go on an interview, you see their operation, talk to some of their service people. You'll know really quickly whether or not people are shady or not. I just had an experience in a those gaming machines that are in convenience stores.
Oh yeah.
Sure. Right. Yep. Yeah. So I went to go see. So already you have an impression about the people who sell those machines and move those machines, right? And so I went to the company and all that stuff. The most beautiful high-rise building. Everybody's there. This is 2022. Suit and tie. Why is my phone ringing? Suit and tie. The most reputable. They're trying to bring the whole. The whole industry up. You would never know it. And in the trade business, you want to make a sale. This is it. When a pest control operator comes to your house, you kind of know what that person is going to look like and feel like, you just, they're going to be a little grimy or whatever. So if you're in a pest control and you just come dressed well, look people in the eye, smile at them, say, hey, listen, have the slightest, have a clean shirt, something like that, you already made the sale. You need to look different than the industry and you'll rise up. Have you had that experience?
So simple. It's so simple. So we do the Dan, you know this. We do the podcast. It's called HandymanProsRadioShow.com. We talk about saving you time, money, and aggravation on your home maintenance and repair. But we've also we have a ton of handymen that actually listen to our show. So we started doing some business tips out there. And the number one tip we talk about is being professional in the trades. If you want to attract business, be professional. And what does professionalism mean? Well, to your point, Mr. Jourdan, you are right on the money. Show up in a clean shirt and clean pants. Clean up after yourself. Show up on time. I have a story because stories always tell the best thing. I show up at a client's office. I've in Atlanta, you always have to account for traffic. This happened to be a slow traffic day. So I was 10 minutes early. I'm sitting at the thing. I walk up to the door. I ring the doorbell. The woman comes to the door and she looks at me and she goes, "What are you doing here?" And I said to her, well, I know I'm a little early. If you want, I can go back to the truck and wait if it's an inconvenience. She goes, "No, appointment was at 9:00, folks." She goes, "No, I was expecting you around 10:30. I've never had a contractor show up on time, let alone early." Now, Dan, is that a low bar to achieve?
Yeah. Yeah. Immediate credibility.
Immediate.
Yeah. You're just done.
Customer for life. Still have them. Was one of my very first customers. Still have them. I mean, this is 6 years ago now at this point. But I tell that story because really, that's it? I showed up on time?
Yeah, and that's it. And so for somebody looking to find that apprentice job like that, when you go to meet that person, be early, be the exception. Remember, you're selling yourself for that thing. And people have a need, especially these older guys in the trade. You say older guys, it's me now.
It's us.
Right. Not in the trade. Man, you have a need to give off your wisdom. You want to give it away. You want to pass it on. You want that. And I told Matthew, my son, one of the things I told him, I said, man, at your age, you want to find somebody's wing and nestle yourself underneath anybody's wing who wants to be there. Guys my age are like this, just waiting for someone to come under their wing.
Oh, 100%. I'm the same way. That's why I spend a fair amount of time with Matthew, and I've got several other people that I work with on just on a free basis. I don't charge them anything. I just want them to succeed, because it seems like it's so hard to find anybody that actually wants to just listen and get ahead. They don't have to do everything, but you hate to say the "I told you so's," but sometimes they come back to you and go, "I should have listened to you." I'm like, well, yeah, and Dan and I, we work with Matthew, because when Matthew's not listening to Dan, as so many of us don't listen to our parents, right? Which is I'm not bagging on Matthew. It's just, that's the way it is. I didn't listen to my dad, but now all these years later, and I've told Matthew this too, all these years later, you sit back and you go, Dad talked about that. Dad talked about this. Dad talked about that. And I know Matthew listens to you, Dan. He just doesn't want to hear it right now, but he does listen to the same thing when I tell him virtually the identical comment, right? I mean, he's like, "You sound just like my dad." I'm like, it's because we're successful guys and we all sound the same. We all sound the same. It's just the way it is.
Well, yeah, they'll do all right. This is going to be a good breakout year for everybody. But it's even more exciting is because I'm seeing the people that he, naturally gravitates to and associates with. Other people, and you wouldn't think that you'd find intellectual people in, the dumpster business.
Not true. Not true.
Yeah, because you work with those. I mean, think of all the logistics that has to happen in a business like that.
Folks, that's one thing people don't understand about the trades. There's about 10 million moving parts, and we've added into things like this, like in the trades business, about material supply. So COVID has really screwed up the materials. Now we have to plan for those kinds of logistics as well. There's a huge amount of logistics involved, and finance. So there's a lot of, like, if you're a business owner and you own a trades business, you're going to need to know sales and marketing. You're going to need to know finance. You need to know legal. You need to know the current things that are going on in the trades. In the industry, like what new materials are coming out, where are the trends going, blah, 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 blah. It takes a lot. Being a manager takes a lot more brain power than you think. I mean, I always tell this story. I was at a Georgia game and I was sitting up in the suite, and anyway, it's a long story, but we end up in the suite up at the Georgia games, and I'm talking to this guy, and he goes, he and his wife, he goes, we're just trashy people. You bring up dumpsters. I go, really? I said, you own a trash company? He goes, yeah. And he's a young guy. He's about 38, something like that. Young to me. He's like 38. He goes, and knowing a little bit about the trash business, how many trucks do you have? He goes, 15. And I'm like, so folks, to give you a perspective, 15 trucks times about $200,000 is $2 million worth of rolling stock, which means he's got to pay for all that stuff, plus staff, plus all the other things that go into business. I was like,
plus fuel
and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Right. I mean, all the expense. I'm like, you're doing pretty well. He goes, yeah, we do okay. But he introduced himself as trashy people. He was a guy just like you and me, Dan. He comes off with not this, hey, I own a small business. He's like, I'm a trashy person, and I just kind of laugh.
It's a good line.
It's a great line. And I remember him to this day. Right. So I want to give a tip too. If you're going to get a trades job with somebody, one of these customer guys, there's another thing. Google his name. Do a little bit of tiny research behind the person that you happen to be interviewing with, because you'll find, how, if you walk in, if a guy came into me and he said, gee, you've been doing this for 6 or 8 years. Before that, you did this, and before you did that, and all of that just comes up as on a Google search, right? He says, oh, you've owned this business since, I don't know, 1943 or whatever it is, 1965. You're already one step ahead of the other people that go in and say, hey, I'm here for a job. No, you're not here for a job. You're here for an opportunity, and what's involved in that opportunity. And if you can find out how many trucks they have, you're a step ahead. If you can find out what kind of services do they do, because Dan brought up, is it ElectroSpark? Anyway, that's a specialized division of being an electrician. So those guys need a ticket and stuff to be able to put those car chargers in. It just happens to be a specialized segment, niche market of the electrical business. But anyway, be that as it may, if you know a little bit about these people, they will be like, oh, hey, you're impressive. You're impressive. Right. So I don't think anybody would really doubt that. Right. Because Dan, when somebody comes up to you and they go, you're the sales energizer, and you look at them and go, really? I am.
You ever have that? I had a guy come up to me. I was at a Starbucks, and he was this other place, and he looked at me, and he must have seen my videos, and he goes, he's like sheepishly walked up to me, and he goes, hey, are you the Deej? Are you the Deej? I was like, but yes, no, I have just a warm place in my heart, because like you said, these are just good people, and also they've been kind of taught that when that guy says we're just a trashy person, he's he was a little embarrassed about telling that. Maybe not now, but a few years ago. Yeah, I'm going into the junk removal business, or I'm being a plumber. It has this kind of
negative connotation.
It has a negative connotation. Perfect. That was the perfect word that I couldn't find for some reason. I couldn't find negative connotation.
I spend lots of time in the intellectual world.
That's right. It has that negative connotation that you've been told your entire life. Like if you didn't go to college, you're somewhat of a failure, and you plopped out here as a plumber.
Well, the problem is that when, I had a guest on one of our shows as well, and he said, try doing this. When you introduce yourself, do not mention the job that you do. So I am Chris Stone. I create video and audio and produce or something like that. But you don't say, I am such and such in such and such a business, because you are not that person. You are not a garbage removal company. You are not this. You are Larry Towner, and you are, whatever. You're not.
I'm a solution specialist.
Yeah. And so and it's not trying to make something sexy that isn't. It's just like, you're not that job, that's not what you are,
Right.
It's what you do for sure. But who you are, I think is more important. So Larry, who you are, one of the things that you are is a podcaster.
Yes, I am.
And you co-host a podcast, a fantastic podcast. And those that are viewing and or listening to this particular show / podcast, you have got to go to handymanprosradioshow.com and subscribe, which is follow. It's free. It's a fantastic podcast. And, every time I fire this thing up, I learn something. And Larry, I've told you this before. I think the whole concept, what you guys do is, you've been consistent, and what you guys do is great. It's a high quality show. But the thing I love most about it is, and we touched on this earlier, you're never going to be able to run out of content. You've always got something to talk about because you're doing it. And so you have no fear. Let me frame it this way and actually roll it over. So there's actually a question. I'm not answering it for you. A lot of people are fearful when they do a podcast of giving away too much. In your business, you guys talk a lot in videos and everything you do. You can actually show somebody how to do something, give them tips to be able to do it themselves. Do you ever get in a situation where you're like, oh, we want to hold back here because we want to get contacted from somebody so that we can put them behind a paywall or pay them a visit and make some money? So how does that look for you guys when you do the actual podcast?
We've explored that avenue of trying to monetize that way. We're just not sure that we want to go that way. We don't mind giving away our product right now. There are some production costs and some things, and we're working on some ideas right now of maybe doing some business consulting, where if somebody wants to get into the handyman business or into the contractor business in general, I can get you up and running quite quickly, and avoid a lot of the mistakes that people make early on, particularly in the sales and marketing thing. Because, I've been following the Deej forever, and it's a long story, but Deej would have to admit I've taught him a few sales tricks over the years as well. I'll never forget when he sold my business.
Especially pricing.
Yeah, exactly.
Negotiation. Nobody's better.
There's and anyway, there's just a lot of tips and tricks that we've been doing, and we're working on putting up together some programs and trying to get that kind of going out there. We just really want our contractor friends to become really professional and stop being the guy in the broken down pickup truck, come across as a professional. And it needs to happen. And so we're willing. It's just that some of this stuff takes time, and it takes a lot of effort, as Chris Stone knows. Creating content, folks, for those of you who are out there thinking about doing YouTube or whatever, it's not as easy as it sounds unless you really have a broad canvas to work with. We get all of our ideas for our shows most of the time from the field, or if there's something we don't understand, we'll invite a subject matter expert on and ask them the questions that we don't know the answers to. And some of those interview shows have just been, our drywall doctor show was amazing. He saved me so much time just in my own drywall efforts that I used to hate doing drywall. Now I'm like, oh, this is easy because I got this guy who's driven, 47 million board feet, and he's told me everything to do, and it's bing, 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 and it's easy peasy. Anyway, all of that stuff are the kinds of tips that content producers want. Sometimes it's hard, sales. There's always content for sales, right, Deej? I mean, you can always come up with something.
Me and my audience have a special thing in common. They never know what I'm going to talk about, and neither do I. And so it's a perfect thing. But and I could tell you're an expert because you were just like my dad. Whenever he was making a point, he always go bing, bing, bing.
Yeah, bing, bing, bing.
Yeah, that was you. That old timers are always like that. Let's just do this.
Thanks, buddy. I'm an old timer now.
They don't say 1, 2, 3. They say bing, bing, bing. Sometimes bing, bang, boom.
I just pulled my earplug out. That's
it used to be that in your neighborhood there was always like we had it was Richie Myers and then Mr. Muggleston, but they were always they were always tinkering in their garage. You could just walk, all the kids, the neighbors would just walk into the garage, and there's there with his table saw, just making sawdust. Who knows what he was doing? And you're just hanging out, and he'd make a big piece of wood, and he'd make like a little tool to pull the rack out of the stove. It's about this big, but all day long, and he's sanding it, and it was just kind of great. There's no tinkerers anymore. Do you tinker?
I do all the time. You know that. I mean, yeah. I'm as I say, I'm a solution specialist. If there's that's my business card, what I say. So I fix people's problems. It's really what I do, and mostly relating to their home. But I've been tinkering forever. I mean, you should see my truck, Deej. I got this is my latest truck thing. So I'm looking for storage for these bottles, right? And so what happens? My wife opens the closet door, and she's got all her shoes in the shoe racks. Those hanging shoe racks that hang everything. Guess what's mounted on the back door of my truck? A shoe rack, and now it's full of like mayonnaise jars filled with screws and nuts and bolts and all this stuff. Yeah. So I took something that it was not designed for, and I attached it the right way. And man, what a great it solved my problem. Everything's right where I need it. Like I can reach it, and it's all individual. And it's like, that's what we don't have. People don't take they're not as creative as they used to be anymore. It used to be like in the old days, my dad was the king of like, I'll make it work. It might not be right, but I'll make it work. He had if it had baling wire, he had duct tape. I use super glue and tie wraps, but he uses baling wire and duct tape, but we just don't have it. We don't get that much anymore because we're in this throwaway society, and you don't necessarily need to do that, but take other things and make them work for other things. It's not hard. It just takes a little different thought process. It's just a different idea.
That I love that. I love all those little things. I think that's going to happen more and more because as prices go up, that's where innovation happens.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The more things, increase that you get a piece. It's tough to throw out a piece of wood.
It is when a 2x4 is $7.50.
$7. I know it used to be $2.50.
Exactly. Thank you. That was 3 years ago.
Yes.
3 years ago.
I know. And a piece of plywood, a 4x8 piece of plywood. Yeah. Like a 1/4 inch is still crazy. It's nuts.
Do you think $25 right now for a 1/4 inch piece of plywood?
Do you think the ingenuity is going down with people because it's been too easy to just open up your phone and go to Amazon and it's there in 2 days, and somebody else invented it and somebody else created some rack for your mayonnaise jars full of is that, you think that's part of the problem, or people just aren't interested in doing it?
That's an interesting point, Chris, because I think the ingenuity is still out there, but I think it's very localized. There are some people that I've met who are really like creative geniuses when it comes, particularly like everybody has a creative genius. And this, like musicians have this very intimate creative genius where they get to be able to transfer their brain to their hand motions. And the people that I've met that really understand like innovation on like products, like we're talking about in this case, if it's a mechanical thing, they have this mechanical intelligence. I don't know how else to describe it. I actually have been somewhat blessed with that. When I was in the vending business, I'll never forget, I would talk to the guy when I was doing a repair, I would call up the guys that do the repairs all day long at one of my local suppliers. And he'd be talking to me and he goes, it's right down there in the left-hand side of the machine. I go, yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about. And he says, okay, so while you're there, and I go, no, I'm not there. I'm 40 miles away from that particular machine. He goes, how do you know what that looks like? I don't know. I just know what it looks like. I know exactly what that inside of that machine looks like. And he goes, that's amazing. He goes, most people are standing in front of the machine when they talk to me about this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I'm just blessed with that, but everybody has a different intelligence. And I don't think it's going down. I just think that they get it to market faster via Amazon. And so sometimes some of these creative solutions might be, you get beaten to the punch, I guess I want to say. Because
there's a lot of artistic ability that you'll see like on Etsy, and a lot of police and musicians are doing different things, and people are actually, even in this space, in the YouTube space, some people are devilishly creative. It's amazing.
Oh yeah,
the stuff they do. There's a lot of cooking shows and things where you can do a lot. So people will figure out a way. When people have their own passions, they have to express themselves somehow. It's just in the woodworking, in the grimy stuff. The challenge is the grimy stuff is where the money is.
It is. It is. You want the best paid job. Somebody told me this a long time ago. If you really want to get paid a lot of money, you want to do the jobs that nobody wants to do,
but they have to get done.
Right. So things like lead abatement or asbestos abatement are actually huge, very profitable industries because they tend to be dangerous. But in the trades businesses, nobody really loves pumping septic tanks.
Yes.
But they get paid quite well to go out and pump septic tanks. I mean, and it is a business that in rural areas, or even suburban areas, in a lot of places, it's not going to ever go away. It's been around since Roman times, because they invented the septic tank, by the way, just so you know, so that's 2,000 plus years, I guess, as we like to say.
And the cistern.
And the cistern.
Both of them. Yes,
that's right. Yep. And the cistern. And that stuff's not ever really going to go away, but it's not like, hey man, I am dying to go out. I'm going to pump some fecal matter today.
Well, it's also those same people do grease traps.
Yes. And that's another one. That makes septic tanks look clean.
Which is pre-fecal matter. Ooh. But what's good about it is you're working early in the morning or late at night. Yep, and you got your whole day. It's it's just a whole lifestyle with that stuff. You want to get
that and cleaning out the if you love to work late nights. It really is. Really
now,
nice.
Other thing, there is some stuff that you can enjoy. I remember I had landscaping is another one that I'm going to talk about. Not just landscaping, but like kind of landscape design, pool installation. Yep. People could earn a ton of money in these businesses, and you're out and in those businesses, you're not under, in somebody's crawl space, but you're not exactly basking in the sun either.
You're basking in the sun, but it's directly down on your shoulders. Deej, if you were to put a pool in Atlanta right now, what's your wait time? Do you have any idea?
No, why don't you tell me?
Let's see, this is 2022, so you're gonna be out pushing in right around December of 2024.
Monte Kea.
Yeah, that's how long it'll take you to get a pool put in Atlanta right now. And I could be wrong, but I'm not. Last time I talked to a pool guy, he was 2 years out. 2 years. 2 years.
You see, that's
with deposits. Right.
That's a market. So you think he's hiring?
He's hiring.
Yeah. You see, so and you could learn something. It makes one of the other businesses that I'm thinking about that's really good is, when you go into people's when your house is leaking. And you have cracked walls or something like that, and they go and waterproofing. The weatherproofing. Oh my gosh, that's great business. I know some salespeople in that are making $250 as salespeople.
As salespeople for big companies.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, no, I mean, and then there's that whole side of it too, Dan. Like we haven't really even touched on it. As a salesperson, if you like the trades, or because like I'm a builder, I like to build stuff, and I like to solve, as I say, solve people's problems. If I can go out and sell this stuff just as well. It's just I don't really want a job. I'll be honest. I want to be able to be the boss, myself.
Right.
But if you really just want to do sales, there's huge opportunities just in selling roofing and selling siding and selling all kinds of things. And you don't even have to be a tin man selling siding. You can do it really honestly, and you can just go out and do very, very well selling. And everybody needs salespeople as well, because of course, Dan, nothing happens until a sale. That's where I go. Until a salesperson gets and the most important part of the sale is the salesperson. That's correct. And you sell to whom? Who do you sell to?
to humans.
To people. That's right.
Yeah.
People. Yep.
Well,
Just,
not
just,
all.
do I sound like you? I sound like you.
No, I mean,
There's some influence there for sure.
It's the same thing.
We all sound the same. That's at the end of the day. If you're really going to teach professional sales, right? If you're going to teach professional sales, you're going to learn that you work in the customer's best interest. And if you work in the customer's best interest, you will never lose in sales, right? Is that true, Dan? Dan, I've told the story, but Dan came on my yard. He didn't know what he walked into. He did not know what he walked into.
This is when I was a business broker, and I was selling businesses for small businesses like this, and Larry had a vending company.
And he comes on the yard, and I'm watching him from the sidelines, and he didn't know I was watching him. You know, he had this look on his face like, what the? And I walked up to him and I said, "Hi, you must be Dan." And he goes, "Uh-huh." And I said, "Yeah, hard to believe." And I led with my gross numbers off that particular facility I was working in. You did about a double take, almost fell over. Yeah. And we were off to the races at that point. But and then I think my third statement was, I don't make money here. I make money out there in the field at that time in my customers' locations. And you thought about that for about a second, and you were like, okay, this guy is got something going on.
Yeah, I got it. He was working. He had his stock of all his sodas and candies and all that stuff in from the outside, looked like just a broken down truck body with no truck on it. And that was his storage facility. I'm like, what is this? But that's absolutely true. Nobody came to his yard.
No.
Nobody went to the back of their own place and went into their soda machine. Boy, that business has changed, hasn't it?
That business has changed tremendously. Yes.
Yeah.
It's a kind of a no deal for me, but right now, but anyway.
It's credit cards now.
Credit cards,
and
yep.
There was a time where, there used to be coffee people that would go do coffee business. Everybody wanted the coffee business because that was, now they have these machines. And I remember them saying, nobody's going to pay $1.10 each for one of those little pods. Nobody's going to do that.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Now it's all they want.
That's all they want.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
So they have these machines now, by the way, where you just put a cup and it roasts it and grinds it and then pours it out.
Well, you think it does. You have this sign, and it's like you're hearing whirring and grinding and something. It could be a sound effect.
It grinds it right into the trash can, Chris. And you're absolutely right.
And it's free. And it's free.
I don't know what's going on back there, but it's like a little barista, and
companies pay for everything. The whole world has got all cocked.
Yep.
But that's excellent. Again, great business, dealing with cash, making deals with people. And I think running businesses like that and being in businesses like that really help you with your just communications with other people. On a level of service. People always talk about being a servant leader type of thing. This is how to do it. It's an actual servicing somebody else. Yes, ma'am. How can I help you? This is why I'm doing it. And then there are times, Larry, maybe you can explain how to do this. Times like this, crazy stuff happens. Gas prices go through the roof. The price of material goes up, and you've quoted somebody something, but you're going to just lose a boatload of money on this, and you have to go back to them and talk to them. How do you handle that now?
Yeah, it's really challenging because we've actually changed the way we actually do a quote right now, because we're basically quoting labor plus materials currently, but we've done that because we've made commitments, and we've actually end up just eating it. We lose money on the deal. We just make sure we don't repeat the error. Right. So learn from your mistakes, and that's in sales. That's every time you go do a thing, talk about everything that you did right, and then figure out why you didn't get it, or what would you need to change the next time. Notice I never said what's wrong, because the first thing you did right was go in the door. Right. So you went in to talk to somebody, which is really important, by the way. Can't talk to enough people. But then it's just what do we need to change? And so it's really hard. You do have to make a decision as to what you're going to do, because we do not control any of this, the pricing fluctuations, the price of fuel. We don't control the price of lumber or any of the products. Our biggest thing we're having a hard time getting right now are anything with plastic in it, because that goes back to the ice storm from 2 years ago. So, and folks, everything's got plastic in it, including some kinds of lumber. Like there's certain plywoods that you use for flooring that have plastic in it. And it's like, can you even get it? So anyway, I digress on that stuff. But how we deal with it is we just be upfront and honest, and we put it out there, and we just tell people, it's like, like currently, if somebody came back, if we were really, really losing money, I mean, to where it just wasn't even profitable at all, like we were actually going to cost us money to go to work, I just put it out to the people and say flat out, I made a huge mistake here. And I basically throw it back to them. What would you like to do? What would you like to do? We really value your business. We value your opinion. It's just, let me ask you a question. If you were in my shoes, would you do this deal? And 9 out of 10 times,
great.
Right? And 9 out of 10 times they'll say, well, no, I really wouldn't. And if they say yes, then you just say, oh, well, okay, so I got one of those. But what, you just say, and then and that starts your negotiation. You might do it at a reduced rate. We don't like to lose money on a job. Like we don't actually like to lose cash money. If it costs us, I'm just going to use $1,000 to go out to do a job, and I priced it at, $900, that's losing $100. I don't like to do that. I'll break even on a job if it's something that's my mistake, if I can, but if it's, and particularly with material costs, like we can't control this, I mean, I've watched back to 2x4s. I watch them increase 25 cents in a day overnight, like boom, like folks give you a perspective. You do, 400 2x4s in a project, that becomes $100 in cash just on that price increase. And if you haven't allotted for it, you're in a bit of a jam,
because you're running tight. But a lot of that with the price changes that you do with customers, a lot of that can be avoided by your upfront thing that we started to begin with. Be professional, upfront, be friendly, dealing with humans. And when they know that we're dealing with, nobody wants to screw over another human being. If they see you as a grimy pissant, you're just here doing a job. That's one thing. If they're treating, if you presented yourself as their peer and, someone in the same position that they're in, everybody wants to get the best deal and all this stuff, like an honest human being, you have a lot more leeway.
And in the contractor business, because so many people don't do that. I mean, I'm trying to hire an electrician right now in another city, and I have made 24 phone calls and I've left, I can't tell you how many emails. Do you know how many responses I've had?
Well, I'm scared to ask.
0.
Ooh.
Answer your phone.
Even just to say you can't do it.
Just tell me you can't do it. I'm jammed up. I'm busy for the next 12 months, because trust me, there's guys out that far. I'm busy we talked about pool guys 2 years out. Sure, we can get to you. It's going to be in 2024. Are you okay with that? It's first thing you say. We're booked out till 2024. Is that going to be okay with you? And then you go, well, no, I really wanted to get it started this month. Okay, well, I'll tell you what, we appreciate your phone call, blah, blah, blah. And just do that. Just that alone get you all kinds of business. You have no idea. Learn. My big thing right now is learn how to say no. Learn how to say no.
Great advice.
And say it with respect, and just say, it's just not possible right now. How can we make this fit? How can we make it work? Right.
Not not right now. Right. Don't say no, not right now. Yeah. I love that.
I'm going to add one little thing to that too, which I've discovered with another client that's worked really well. I tell you what, I'm out to 2024, but let me put you on my wait list. Who knows what happens?
Exactly.
And if something falls through, at least you'll be on the list, and I can give you a call and go from there. But you just got their information too. And so then that goes into your pipeline, that goes into your email things, that will be, even if you don't do the work, that will be a referral for you in the future.
And plus, you had a real conversation with a real person. You didn't blow them off and not pick up the phone. I mean,
you know what else? You know what else you can do, Dan? And you know this. I'm a big proponent of this. Take 50 cents and send them a thank you note with your business card in there. Just send them a thank you note. Hey, thank you. It was a pleasure talking to you. I really enjoyed it. I wish we could take care of your needs, but right now, it's just not a fit because of whatever the reason is. And send them that thank you note. And I've actually had.
Did we lose him?
He's had something.
I mean, it works too well. There's a point when it works too well. But
this has been great. We're running out of time. Tell me, how's the family? You're looking good, by the way. Even if you keep on freezing up on us. You're looking good.
Yeah.
Family going well.
Doing well. Yours? Well, I'll talk to now I have to call Matthew because he bought a storage yard. So I've got to call him. I haven't talked to him in a month.
Well, it's got a piece of property on it. Yeah, you got to come check it out. It'll be awesome. He's good. I'm glad to see everything well. This has been, talking to you. We got to get together more often. I feel like you're my brother. I mean, and I don't have a brother. And
brother
so
from another mother, as they
like
say,
it,
right?
So I think it's great. So Chris Stone, once again, unbelievable production value. He manages to put all together and keep everybody reined in control, which is good. And for all you people out there, wait, so where do people need to go for your cast of the pod?
For me?
Yes.
That would be handymanprosradioshow.com. We're on all the podcast players. So you can, if you just type in Handyman Pros Radio Show, we will come up. Trust me. We've got about 270 episodes. We do 2 a week. We do a long format and a short format. Short format is all tips. So it's just like a tip you can use today. It'll run you anywhere from 2 to 7 minutes, usually on average. And then the long show is a more in-depth idea, concept, I'll say, like how to hire a contractor, how to hire a handyman, things like that. What you need to know about siding, stuff like that.
And it's really, really good. You learn something just like I learn something every day. And then go the extra step. And this is what you need to do. Larry is unbelievably accessible. And the more you avail yourself to people like Larry, the better you will be in all parts of your lives. You do that today and everything will be awesome. You're the best. I'm the Deej. Let's go get them today. All right. Hey, that was great, Larry. Thank you so much.
Well, you're welcome. Anytime,
Yeah, that was good.
Anytime I can yak with the Deej, it's good.
That's
so.
It.
Where'd Chris Stone go?
He's back here. I got to run. I have a 1